So, Abraham Lincoln, the Magic Tree House Fact Tracker, Abraham Lincoln. So, hope you guys are having a good time today. And I hope you guys are having a good time because, well, today it's Abraham Lincoln we're talking about. So, let's get started. Now, this is a Magic Tree Fact Tracker. So, how about we get started? The Abraham Lincoln is the 16th president of the United States, and he is one of the best presidents of all. He even got a patent, and he was the only president who has ever got a patent. Now, in his early years, he was growing up pretty quickly. He was having awesome days, and he was even having great days and great weeks. But eventually, when he was able to go to school, he's only passed first grade and just a bit of second grade. And then he had to quit school so that he can help his mother and father in the farm fields. And he was only 9 years old when his mother died. So, yeah. And when Abraham grows up, it's been a pretty big time during these times, because sometimes there are ways that people have never ever thought of. Now, Abraham Lincoln is growing up pretty quickly, and Abraham Lincoln loves to grow up quickly. He does good things. I mean, he doesn't really enjoy being grown up quickly, but he is at least growing quickly. And by the time he was president, he will be 6 feet and 4 inches tall, which is like 100 and about 200 centimeters. And when Abraham Lincoln grew up, he was one of the best spellers in his first grade class. He was able to read, and when he didn't understand something, he would keep on reading and 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 reading until he finally said, "I understand it." So one day he actually borrowed a grammar textbook from a farmer that he found out had a grammar textbook, and asked the storeman nearby his home to quiz him. And he didn't really have to pay a lot of money. And so he passed the test, by the way. He was born in Springfield, Kentucky, so he was having a pretty good life. He was able to build a log cabin with his dad, and when his mother died, his mother said this: "My last will and testament. Make sure you guys, Lincoln and Sarah, are having great times, and that you will listen to your father and help him as much as you can." And in Abraham Lincoln's last years of Springfield, he got into the election ran for president, and he won by an electoral college landslide. In some sovereign Confederate states, his name wasn't even shown on the ballot. But to his unluckiness, Abraham Lincoln won by an electoral college landslide, which is a lot. And by this electoral college landslide, it was a big landslide. I mean, this one is a pretty big one, so it has been ongoing since years and years and years of patience. By the way, when he ran for president, he grew a beard because of a girl asked him to do it. Abraham Lincoln got 75,000 men to sign up, and because he only saw that it was going to last for like 3 months. But then it actually lasted for 4 grueling years. Then he needed more men. So he did try to get more men. And then both sides started putting in conscription. Riots in the North came out because they were going to fight for slavery, which is one idea that they were not happy or even supported of. And when President Abraham Lincoln created the Emancipation Proclamation, and also when he did some things, and when the North won the war, he finally created all terms, and he won the world. Abraham Lincoln finally became president for a second term. And during his second term, in this first year of his second term, he was having a bad time. He woke up, and 2 weeks before his assassination at the theater at Ford Theater, Abraham Lincoln got this dream where he would be assassinated. And that assassination would be someone that's not very popular, and also an actor. He didn't actually, I'm lying about that last one, but that part's actually true. Abraham Lincoln would be killed by an actor and a Southern symphonist, John Wilkes Booth. John Wilkes Booth in a nearby bar drank 2 cups of whiskey and went to Ford Theater, went into the president box creepily, and shot Abraham Lincoln in the head. But the doctor, when Abraham Lincoln was taken to the doctor said that they could do nothing, that there was nothing that they could do, and they watched perfectly of how Abraham Lincoln would be doing something. Abraham Lincoln got shot in the brain, and that's what the doctors couldn't help with. A few days later, Abraham Lincoln died. A whole nation mourned. Even, you might think that the Southern was like, yay, Abraham Lincoln's dead! But they didn't. They even hated John Wilkes Booth. Not because they were sympathized against slavery. They were still anti-slavery. It's just that they lost. They knew that the North would be after them, and they blamed John Wilkes Booth for everything. John Wilkes Booth was eventually shot, by the way, a few weeks later. And the president of the Confederate States of America, or the CSA as they called them, was put into jail for 2 years. The others, like General Lee Grant, who surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant. Okay, at the final battles of the Civil War happened like this: Ulysses S. Grant, the Union champion, versus the Confederate champion, General Lee. Yeah. And they had to fight each other. And this was not a big thing, to be honest. This was one of those things where people have been doing things. I mean, the Union's own champion versus the Confederate champion, Robert E. Lee, versus Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant is the Union, and Robert E. Lee is the Confederate champion. They've been fighting together, and eventually Ulysses S. Grant won. So yeah. And in this final chapter, it's been one of the best times of our lives until Abraham Lincoln died. Abraham Lincoln died in his first year of his presidency. When he died, the whole nation mourned, and he was not in a good mood. He loved his job, and even loved his country, but in the end, an unlover of the country killed him. After that, the whole nation mourned. People from his hometown of Springfield mourned the most. And in February, on Abraham Lincoln's birthday, it was declared President's Day. The president's only son who survived, called Tad, who nicknamed Tad, became the new Lincoln, and he would have to be able to learn how to do things. He's an adult now, so he could probably manage. Everybody mourned, and today we still mourn the death of the president. But what would it have been like if President Lincoln was not shot? Well, then it might have did a lot of great differences, but in this case, it wasn't like that. In this case, it wouldn't be like that. So yeah, this was one of those times where Abraham Lincoln had been one of the greatest presidents of all time. The tallest president of all time, Abraham Lincoln, had been a stabilizer for the whole nation, and was the person who got the 13th Amendment to pass to abolish slavery for all. So this will be the end of this episode. If you did enjoy this episode and learn something new, please tell me in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next episode. Shanine out, and peace. Abraham Lincoln. Bum bum bada bum.